Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap that notification bell, like this video. That helps me to keep making videos. I'd appreciate it majorly. So, the medical examiner has ruled that Jeffrey Epstein's, death was suicide by hanging, officially. That was yesterday evening or afternoon. No shock there. I don't think anybody really expected anything different. And his attorneys dispute that. They're not satisfied with that. They say they're going to conduct their own investigation. They still have not seen any surveillance footage of his final hours and slam the medieval conditions inside the Manhattan jail. I mean, I will say that it seems on the one hand they're publicly stating these things, but on the other hand, I mean, it seems like it's leverage a little bit. They're lawyers, okay? Uh, sort of as they perceive, for probably ultimately this will just lead to a wrongful death lawsuit. That's what they're pushing towards, I think. So, but because ultimately, nobody's going to care, for what the truth is really. But there are absolutely, very significant details of how this went down, and it seemed one might actually come to the conclusion that it was planned perfectly this way, so that there's all this sort of plausible deniability, and just like it's just a bad mistake or whatever. I mean, it's perfect how part of it goes to this individual, and it's been reported by NBC News that he was cleared of any wrongdoing. It has, I mean, a source from the MCC, even though nobody's named, basically confirms this, and his attorney says that he received an email the day before, and that's critical, that he would not face any charges and or discipline, and that the investigation into him potentially being a suspect, in an attack against Jeffrey Epstein on July 23rd, had concluded. And like I said, no charges would be filed against him, and he wouldn't face any internal disciplines, which means he was cleared. So, but Tartaglione's lawyer, Bruce Bark, had told NBC News that the day before Epstein's death, officials at the MCC informed him in an email that the internal investigation concluded, and his client would face no charges or internal discipline. A person familiar with the case confirmed Barkett's account. A spokesperson for MCC declined to comment. So, and he said, his attorney says, we've always maintained that he did nothing wrong, etc. So, but basically the point is if he was cleared the day before, that means that Epstein did it to himself, and that means he would have to go back on suicide watch. But it was done the day before. The day before he committed suicide, so I assume that's Friday. So basically, it's so perfectly done that they can claim that they had intended to, after this email was issued, to put him back on suicide watch, but they never got the opportunity because he committed suicide that very evening, overnight. I mean, that's what I think is ultimately going to be the explanation, because it seems like it was perfectly planned so that this notification, had this been done any time earlier, would have been done in the middle of the week, first off, and for 3 days or whatever, say this was done 3 or 4 days before he committed suicide, the prison would have been even more liable. They're already liable, and they would have had to explain for why didn't they put Jeffrey Epstein back on suicide watch for 3 days, but now they're going to be able to say, well, it was Friday, and they were going to on Monday, but it just never happened. And it just happened. It's just perfect coincidence that the same Friday that he got this notification, Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate posted bail. So that he was left alone at the same time. I mean, the circumstances are so perfect that I don't think anyone who's fair, believes that he committed suicide. It's conceivable. It is. I mean, I do not try. I'm a human being. We all get set on something. We all want to be right. it's conceivable that he let's say he did do it himself, okay, and that this guy's telling the truth, right? The guy who's accused of four just absolutely, um, um, sadistic murders in a drug deal. He's accused of that, of a drug deal, in a drug deal gone bad, where one of them he shot outright, and the other three he brought back to his home and systematically executed him with gunshots to the back of the head. Let's say he's telling the truth. Um, and that Epstein actually did do it, and that Epstein's the one who's lying, because, and let's say, he just wasn't successful the first time, and then he lied in order to get, and said he did it in order to get himself taken off suicide watch so he could get the chance to do it again. That's conceivable, but I just, the odds of everything I just went through coming down perfectly the way they'd have, where he gets a notification, this dude, Tartaglione, the former police officer, who Epstein claimed attacked him the first time, he gets the notification by email. His lawyers do the Friday before he commits suicide, and then, which leaves no opportunity for the prison system, the MCC, the Bureau of Prisons, to correct this situation. Because if that's true, if their conclusions were that he didn't attack him, that means that Epstein did it to himself, and he should have been put back on suicide watch. But it was Friday, and they just didn't have time. There was not time to do it. So, I mean, the odds of, and at the same time, Epstein's prison cellmate, other prison cellmate, who we still don't know the identity of, just, very coincidentally happens to post bail on the very same evening of the day this guy got the notification, and hours later, Epstein kills himself. So that's what even though it took such a long time to lay that out, that's what's going on, in my opinion. So, they have, it's been reported in a couple places that some of the prison employees, some of the staff are not cooperating with the Justice Department, and they're not talking to them. We don't know if that's the two prisoners that were put on administrative leave, and if those are the two prisoners who should have been checking on him every half hour. I'd say it's conceivable that that's the case, or maybe all of them, or we just don't know. It just says the Justice Department official says people, including jail staff members, believed to have information pertinent to the probe into financier Jeffrey Epstein's death are not cooperating with investigators. The officials say people have not yet been interviewed by the FBI, and that their lack of cooperation is a challenge as investigators work to try to determine the full circumstances surrounding Epstein's death. The official was not authorized to discuss the investigation publicly and spoke to the Associated Press on a condition of anonymity. So that could actually be people beyond the jail staff. That could even be the person who was his cellmate before, that posted bail the night before hours before he committed suicide, or was murdered, depending on what you believe. Obviously, you know what I believe. But, because that just says people, including jail staff members. I mean, what about that? I mean, where are we going to ever know who his cellmate was the night before, the posted bail hours before he committed suicide? Finally, the judge actually, I don't know if this is normal. I mean, I don't know. But the judge actually asked for an explanation of the July 23rd incident, where Epstein claims he was, according to his attorneys, that he was attacked by Nicholas Tartaglione. And Nicholas Tartaglione, through his attorney, claims that, that's not true. He never touched him. But the judge overseeing his sex trafficking case, and a conspiracy to sex trafficking of minors, asked for an explanation in writing from the warden. And I think he actually got a semi-explanation, basically saying that, I think she said the investigation had been concluded, but that she couldn't give him any details because of the other investigation into suicide, something to that effect. The judge overseeing the federal sex trafficking case asked for details of the incident after the MCC's warden filed legal papers to officially inform the court of Epstein's death. Okay, and this was Monday, I believe. Monday is when the judge asked for an explanation of the... So after his death, the judge asked for an explanation of the July 23rd incident. One open question, among others, is whether the investigations referenced in your letter will include the incident at MCC involving Mr. Epstein on or about July 23rd, 2019. Judge Richard Berman wrote in his response dated August 12th, to my knowledge, it has never been definitively explained what the BOP concluded about the incident. The warden, who has since been reassigned from the facility, responded the same day but offered no new information. I can confirm that although an internal investigation was completed regarding the July 23rd incident, the current investigations by the FBI and the OIG will include this incident as well, wrote the warden, Lamine Ndiaye. Accordingly, I cannot divulge any information about the prior investigation at this time. So that's the story there, man. That is the story there. I don't know, dude. I obviously feel very strongly about all this, and I think there's plenty of people who agree with me, who are Trump supporters. And, they just are in denial or whatever. I don't know what the reasons are. Who knows? Who cares? And that's the story there, man. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I will see you in the next video. Later, man.